All right, ready to dive deep. Today we're cracking open Jen Sincero's You Are a Badass.
Yeah, love this book.
It's so relatable, right? I mean, who doesn't want to ditch self-doubt and create a life they totally love?
Absolutely. And it's not just feel-good fluff either.
Right. It's about getting real with those subconscious beliefs that might be holding us back.
That subconscious blueprint Sincero talks about. Those hidden programs we pick up early on, sometimes with totally outdated beliefs.
Like, remember that story about her bowling accident?
Hilarious, right? But also makes you think.
Totally. She was so focused on winning, she completely wiped out, ignoring those slippery lane boundaries.
And later realized it was tied to this deep-seated fear of confrontation. Something she learned growing up, but it was playing out on the bowling alley.
Wow. So those beliefs can really show up in surprising ways, huh?
Oh yeah, in all areas of life. Money, relationships, work choices.
So what are some of the big ones we should be looking out for?
Well, not being good enough comes up a lot. Or not deserving success. Or feeling unworthy of love.
And that can lead to all sorts of self-sabotage, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Procrastination, staying in bad relationships, not going after those big goals.
Okay, so once we start recognizing these sneaky beliefs, what can we do about them? Rewrite the code, so to speak.
Well, Sincero's a big believer in the power of the present moment.
Present as a pigeon, right?
Exactly. Just like those birds, not stressing about yesterday or tomorrow, just fully in the NOW.
She's so enthusiastic about it. It's like she wants us to see all the miracles happening around us all the time. Our hearts beating, the rain falling.
It's easy to forget, right? When we're stuck in our heads.
Totally. So how do we tap into that childlike sense of wonder?
It's about connecting with that source energy, that universal power that's always there.
Okay, so instead of grasping for what we want, we need to shift our perspective, see that abundance already exists.
It's a subtle but powerful change.
But isn't there a part of us that resists this positive shift? Like she calls it the big snooze, right?
Yeah. It's that ego part, clinging to fear and those limiting beliefs.
The little devil on your shoulder saying you're not good enough, don't even bother trying.
And Sincero brilliantly contrasts that with the higher self. That part connected to source energy knows our true potential.
So how do we tell the difference between those two voices? The big snooze versus our higher self.
Think about it. Ever had a great idea but talked yourself out of it?
Oh, all the time.
That's likely the big snooze, feeding you doubt. Your higher self would be encouraging you to go for it, trust the journey.
And she even says the big snooze will try to sabotage our efforts to change, right?
Oh yeah, it wants to keep us comfortable, even if it's not actually serving us.
Like that story about her client who quit his safe job, then all this crazy stuff started happening. Flat tires, car accident, a water main explosion.
Sounds like a big snooze tantrum.
But the guy kept going, built a successful business doing what he loved.
And then there's that story about the record producer who rebuilt her entire studio after a fire.
These stories really highlight that persistence, that faith, even when things get tough.
Setbacks are a part of growth, right? They don't have to derail us.
So we need that resilience to push through.
Knowing we have the strength within to overcome those challenges.
And Sincero is huge on self-love as the foundation for everything.
Absolutely. Recognizing our worthiness no matter what.
She uses that story about her nephew with perfect posture, even as a toddler.
Like he hadn't learned to slouch yet.
So true, just naturally embodying his worthiness. And Sincero takes it even further.
What, the don't give one single crap what anyone else thinks.
Exactly. So liberated.
Releasing that need for external validation.
Think about the Wright brothers. They were probably the laughingstock of their town trying to build that first airplane.
Can you imagine all that gossip?
But they believed in their vision, and it changed the world.
So how do we get over that need for approval? It seems so ingrained sometimes.
Sincero says, first, ask why you're doing something. Is it aligned with your values, or are you trying to please someone else?
Great point.
She also suggests finding a hero role model, someone you admire who embodies those qualities you want.
So when you're unsure, you can ask, what would my hero do?
Be smart, and ultimately focus on actions that feel true to you.
It's your life, right? Other people's judgments often say more about them than you anyway.
It's about reclaiming that power. And speaking of authenticity, Sincero believes we all have these unique gifts to share.
Finding our purpose, making a difference.
Right. She tells the story of Loincloth Man, who rejected modern society to live in a canyon.
Found his own version of authenticity, even if it seemed unconventional.
Speaking of connecting with our true selves, meditation. Right.
Yeah, Sincero's a big fan.
Yeah.
quieting the mental chatter, tapping into that inner wisdom.
And she emphasizes it doesn't have to be complicated.
Find a comfortable position, close your eyes, focus on your breath. Simple.
She also mentions using a candle to focus or visualizing light.
And guided meditations can be great too, especially for beginners.
What's interesting is she thinks meditation is even more crucial now.
With all the technology and distractions, absolutely.
It's like hitting that reset button. And speaking of the mind, Sincero's chapter, Your Brain is Your Bitch.
That one's a classic.
It's about the power of our thoughts to shape our reality.
To think what you want to think is to think the truth, regardless of appearances. That line always gets me.
So powerful. It doesn't matter what your current situation looks like. You can shift your thinking, shift your experience.
She uses the example of that woman who wanted to buy a villa in Italy. Didn't have the money, no idea how to buy property in another country.
But she acted as if it was already hers, right?
And she manifested it. Found creative ways to get the money, jumped through all those legal hurdles. Amazing.
Our beliefs are so powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And Sincero offers some very practical steps for manifesting what you want.
Okay, like what?
First, believing in the unseen. You got to shift your thinking before the evidence shows up.
Faith over fear.
Exactly. And then, acting as if. Behaving like you already have what you want, even if it feels silly at first.
What?
Upgrading your environment.
Yeah.
Little changes to your surroundings to align with those desires.
Okay, so like decluttering. Maybe getting some fresh flowers.
Simple things can send a powerful message to the universe.
And she talks about surrounding yourself with the right people, too.
Oh yeah, if you're hanging out with a bunch of naysayers, it's going to be tough to manifest your dreams.
You need those supportive, inspiring people in your corner.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Creating that positive and empowering environment, so easy to get swept up in the everyday chaos, you know?
And lose sight of that power we have to create our own reality.
Exactly. And Sincero really drives that point home. But it's more than just thinking positive.
Right. She gives you actual tools to use. Like what really stuck with me was her advice on those times you just feel overwhelmed.
Oh yeah, the drama of overwhelm. That whole chapter. It's like we create so much stress for ourselves.
Often unnecessarily, right?
Trying to do it all. Those unrealistic expectations. She talks about getting real about your priorities.
And delegating when you can. It's amazing how powerful it can be just to ask for help.
Whether it's a coach, a house cleaner, even just a friend to listen. We don't have to do it all alone.
So true. Creating those systems and structures that actually support a good life.
Shifting from that scarcity mindset to one of abundance. Abundance of time, energy, joy.
Speaking of joy, I love how Sincero is all about infusing life with fun and adventure.
Oh, like that story about her being in a band called Crotch.
Exactly. Creating your own fun, even if it's a little unconventional.
What's great is it shows how much joy can come from stepping outside that comfort zone.
Just see what happens. Sincero reminds us life's meant to be enjoyed, not just endured.
And she has those great tips for tapping into that playfulness. Like lose track of time.
Oh, I love that one. Get absorbed in activities that light you up.
Just see what you can get away with is another one she throws out there.
Huh. Such a good reminder to be a little mischievous. Experiment a bit.
And of course, we can't forget the most important ingredient in all of this.
Self-love.
Yes. When you truly love and accept yourself, it's like everything else flows more easily.
Okay, but we've been talking a lot about receiving, abundance, joy. What about giving back?
Sincero covers that too. There's a whole chapter on giving and receiving.
Mm-hmm.
She's big on generosity.
And not just about money, right?
Nope. Time, energy, love. It's about raising your frequency, attracting more abundance.
Not giving to get it, but recognizing that interconnectedness, creating that ripple effect.
And gratitude. She calls it the gateway drug to awesomeness.
Huh. So true, though. It's such a simple practice, but it really shifts your perspective.
From what you lack to what you have at ease. Opens you up to receive more.
She's all about making it a daily practice, noticing those little things we take for granted, even a sunny morning or a good cup of coffee.
It's about training your mind to look for the good.
Even when things go sideways, remember that technique she gives? This is good because
Yeah. Tell me more about that one.
whenever anything happens, good, bad, or neutral, you find a reason to be grateful for it. Like, this flat tire is good because now I can listen to my favorite podcast.
Ah, love it. Reframing those challenges.
Exactly. And along with gratitude, she talks about forgiveness.
Forgiving yourself and the others. So important.
It's so easy to hold on to anger, but it really doesn't serve us.
She has some good tips for cultivating forgiveness, like taking the other person out of the equation.
Focusing on your role, how you can grow.
And considering that maybe they were doing the best they could at the time,
Extending compassion even when it's hard.
and releasing that need to be right. Sometimes it's better to just let go and move on.
Choosing peace over drama. And remembering forgiveness is a process, not a destination.
Be gentle with yourself. Sincero also talks about recognizing the difference between helping and enabling.
Oh, that's a good one, especially in relationships.
It's about being supportive, but not allowing someone to stay stuck in unhealthy patterns.
She says to pay attention to how you feel when you're helping someone.
If it's draining or resentful, maybe it's time to step back, setting those boundaries.
And sometimes it might even mean letting go of those painful people, as she puts it.
Not being mean, but prioritizing your own well-being.
Creating a more positive space for yourself. Oh, I love that story she tells about her 22-year-old cat and her 87-year-old dad.
What a combo. What's that about?
She realized they both had this way of making her pay attention, appreciate them, in a way she didn't always do with others.
Wow, that's sweet.
It's that reminder to cherish the present moment, right?
Yeah.
Express love and appreciation.
Sincero's book really is packed with great advice and inspiring stories.
But even beyond that, what I love is her emphasis on taking action.
Not just thinking positive thoughts, but putting them into practice.
She's big on creating those good habits, whether it's waking up early, meditating, even just 5 minutes of gratitude each day.
Oh, and that phrase, breathe amongst the people.
Love that one.
Bringing that mindfulness into our daily lives. Taking those deep breaths, checking in with our bodies, finding that inner peace.
Even amidst the chaos. And she reminds us to surround ourselves with those supportive people.
If you want to kick ass, hang out with people who are kicking ass.
Right. You need that network of support and accountability. And it's okay to ask for help, too.
We're all in this together, and there's strength in vulnerability.
Sincero's book is such a great reminder that we can create the life we want.
It's not always easy, but it's so worth it.
And to approach it all with a sense of humor, a willingness to experiment.
And a whole lot of self-love.
Which brings us to the resource section at the back of the book.
Oh yeah, she has this amazing list of books, seminars, other resources.
And what I love is they come from her own experience, stuff that's genuinely helped her. Like she's a huge fan of The Game of Life and How to Play It.
That's a classic by Florence Scovel Shinn, right?
Yep. Full of great spiritual lessons, even though the writing style is a bit old-fashioned.
And The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Essential reading for anyone who wants to master the art of being present.
For those exploring the power of the mind, she recommends As a Man Thinketh.
By James Allen. So concise, so powerful. And The Creative Habit by Twyla Tharp.
If you want more creativity and discipline in your life,
Sincero's a big fan of biographies, so she highly recommends Richard Branson's Losing My Virginity.
not just about business though, it's about going after your dreams, that fearlessness.
And for self-love, she suggests You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay.
Another classic.
For relationships, she has a couple of recommendations, getting to I Do by Dr. Patricia Allen,
Really insightful, especially around the differences between men and women.
and Loving What Is by Byron Katie for challenging your thoughts and finding peace,
For men specifically, she recommends The Way of the Superior Man.
by David Daedala. What it means to be a man in today's world. Really thought-provoking.
Sincero also mentions some seminars she's found helpful. Pay X by Allison Armstrong.
She says their seminar on understanding men and celebrating women was a game changer.
And the Hoffman Institute, she calls it a limiting belief high colonic.
Ha! Vivid imagery.
She also mentions some other inspiring speakers. Martha Beck, Esther Hicks, Marianne Williamson,
Byron Katie, Wayne Dyer, David Neagle.
Deepak Chopra, Gabrielle Bernstein. It's quite a list.
It really is. And it's amazing how many resources are out there now. Books, podcasts, courses.
Not much to explore.
What are you waiting for? Dive into those resources, experiment, and most importantly,
Have fun. It's kind of wild when you really think about it, how much our beliefs actually shape our experience.
it's like we're always creating our own reality, right? Whether we're paying attention or not.
That's what really hit home for me from Sincero's book, that awareness of our own power. And the really cool part is we can actually change those beliefs if we want a different reality.
100%. And remember her whole thing about shifting from a scarcity mindset to an abundance mindset?
Oh yeah, such a game changer.
It's such a simple idea, but it really makes you think.
Instead of living in that fear and lack, we can start seeing the world through a totally different lens.
One of possibility and potential.
Exactly. And it's not just about money either, right? Sincero's talking about abundance in all areas of life.
Relationships, health, Creativity.
It all comes back to that idea that the universe is this limitless source, and we can tap into it by aligning our thoughts and actions with what we want.
Another thing that stuck with me was her emphasis on taking responsibility for our own happiness.
We're not just victims of our circumstances, right? We have the power to choose.
She has some really good advice on how to do that too, like identifying those can'ts, shoulds, and I nevers.
Oh yeah, those sneaky beliefs that hold us back.
It's like shining a light on those stories we tell ourselves and then choosing to rewrite them.
Create a better narrative. And letting go of the past, too. Can't change it, right? The future's unwritten. We can create a new reality right now in this moment.
And don't forget that sense of humor. Sincere is all about approaching life with playfulness.
Not taking ourselves too seriously. Remembering that it's an adventure.
Embrace the ups and downs, celebrate the wins. This book really shows us that we can create extraordinary lives,
Tapping into that inner badass.
living up to our full potential.
And remember, it's not just about the destination. It's enjoying the journey along the way.
Savoring the moments, appreciating all the good stuff around us.
Like Sincero says, do not snooze and lose.
Embrace your badassery. The world needs you.
And that wraps up our deep dive into You Are a Badass.
We hope you found some inspiration here.
Some tools to create a life you truly love.
Remember, you have the power within you, so go out there and make it happen.